Hey everybody, it's Stephen Holland with Property Champions Real Estate. I want to thank you for joining us again for another segment of Homegrown. I am joined here by Mr. Gantt Pierce. Tell us your newly elected office.
That's correct.
And what do you have planned?
Well, I am newly elected to District 5 Commissioner, which means I get the opportunity to represent the people out west of town and have enjoyed it so far and hope for very good things here in the near future out that way.
Tell people, I guess, a little bit about yourself, Gantt.
Well, I grew up, I guess you would say, in New Orleans, Louisiana. My family was here in Dothan ever since 1969. I think it's when they moved from Covington County to Dothan. Dad and all his brothers and sisters graduated Dothan High School, and then they went off to the University of Alabama. He met my mom, and he was a salesman, so we kind of moved quite a bit, but ended up in New Orleans. 7th grade, moved back to Dothan, went to Honeysuckle for 7th grade while we were building a house out in District 5 in Whitfield Estates. After 7th grade, we moved into that house, and I went to Carver Middle School and then went on to Northview High School, graduated Northview High School, and went to play baseball at Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee. Political science major, finally figured out there wasn't really anything I could do with a political science major. So my choices were to teach or to go to law school, and I decided to go to law school. That's where I met my wife, Nikki, at Jones in Montgomery. Okay. And then we got married and moved back to Dothan and have been here since 2011. I worked for another law firm for about 9.5, 10 years, and Nikki founded Dothan Law Group back in 2018. We renovated the Maxwell building downtown, and that houses Dothan Law Group. It also houses probably 5 or 6 other law firms, as well as some individuals who just rent office space. We got about 5,500 square feet here.
Fantastic, fantastic. And you know, representing that west side of town, and with there being so much growth and development, how do you see that growth coming along?
Well, as far as District 5, there's not really a lot that's had to been done in order for people to develop out there, right? So it's just kind of naturally growing out to the west side of town right now. I think a lot of people want to be safe in their homes and in their businesses and things like that. So infrastructure-wise, we're having to make some adjustments in making sure that we're compatible with the growth out on the west side. You see the orange barrels everywhere, and you're going to continue to see those, you know, funnel out towards John D. Odom. After that, I think that you'll probably see it move on to Brandon Stan in an effort to make sure that we are structurally sound, that our infrastructure can handle what growth's going on, because that's what we want. We want Dothan to be developed. We want it to grow, and so in an effort to do that, we've got to kind of try to stay ahead of the curve so we don't run into any, you know, big time problems.
And traffic, you know, of course, those orange barrels are, you know, can slow and hinder traffic at times, but we all know that it's progress.
It is. It's painful at times, but it's a necessary evil.
How important do you think it is to kind of maybe refocus on that developing from within?
Yeah, we've got to be committed to investing in our downtown area. Historically, that's always been the epicenter of your commerce. You know, even looking back to the early 1900s when Dothan was developed, we were sitting in the area that people came, they socialized, they shopped. So through history, you saw that sprawl kind of happen, but I think you're seeing a real focus on the downtowns and bringing those back to the epicenter of our economy. And I will say this, the leadership that has been shown in the past 10, 15 years by our mayors and our commission have been getting us to where we are now. I mean, we are on the precipice of being just blowing the top off this thing downtown. And it's because of those people that have come before us and given us the opportunity to succeed. And so whereas a lot of us newcomers, we're going to get a lot of praise for it and stuff like that, we can't forget about who came before us and have given us the opportunity to succeed.
And exciting news regarding Oyster
Yeah.
City.
We're excited. Me and Nikki were able to purchase the Wise building down on Foster. It's 135 Foster. And we have locked into an agreement with Oyster City Brewing Company out of Apalachicola. It's actually an equity firm that owns Oyster City Brewing Company. And so under their umbrella, there's a beer out of North Carolina called Catawba, and there's one out of South Carolina, and it's called Palmetto. And so we will have all three of those in downtown Dothan. I'm hoping by April 23rd, which is when the big art festival is. And I'm hoping that that's a real possibility that they are cutting the ribbon down there somewhere around that time.
Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that.
That's going to be great.
Something to really look forward to downtown.
Absolutely.
And, you know, as far as we're talking about downtown, we're talking about development, zoning, is there, if we could pull out the big government zone book, if there was one zoning ordinance that you could change or make a change to?
Well, I think Todd McDonald, Frank Bro, Yvette Thomas, these people have done an incredible job compiling this. We have a strategic plan, and that plan lays out where we see this city going as far as on that zoning map. And they've done an incredible job putting that and putting us in a position to make sure that we're doing right. You know, people think, oh, well, they're going to give me a hard time about opening a business, or they're going to give me a hard time about code enforcement, or they're going to give me a hard time about this. And I think these guys down here and girls down at the city now are really making an effort to show that that's not the case, and really trying to go hand in hand and incorporate and get businesses to come. And it's fascinating, it really is. I mean, some of those ordinances can be archaic at times, and Todd is really good at identifying those archaic ordinances and understanding what that looks like changing it. So that process is pretty fun to watch and see how we can develop and grow it.
Let's say a hypothetical, if there comes down $1 million grant from the state, or better yet, let's say Jeff Bezos pays us a visit with $1 billion grant. If we could just say one thing, one project that Gantt would like to see happen.
Gantt Pierce, in his personal capacity, I would use some of that money. Maybe we could buy a baseball team and do a baseball park, a single-A baseball park. I know Montgomery, they have the biscuits and everything like that. And it's so much fun, the family atmosphere, the things that you can do around that area. I think it's remarkable. So I think if I had a pet project that I could do and just had the money to do it, that might be it.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can make that happen.
Maybe. You never know.
In the next few years.
That's right. That would be awesome.
Now, as far as anything for the near future, 2022 goes, what do you see for the city of Dothan and for District 5?
I see the city of Dothan really committing to an investment in our downtown region. I think that's very important right now. I think it's on the mind of the entire commission, the mayor, the city manager, and we really need to understand what that looks like and really understand, well, do we want to are we okay with what we're doing now? And are we okay sitting here as we sit here, or do we want to go to the next level? Do we want to grow this thing and see how big we can get? There's a couple of things. I mean, if you look above us, as far as population in Alabama, what you see that's constant with everybody above us, all 6 or 7 above us, is they have an interstate, they have a port, they have something like that. We don't. And so we are economically strong just based upon what we have here in Dothan, which is remarkable. You never know what the future holds, but I think, like you said earlier, I think we got to make a commitment to downtown and revitalizing it and getting it to a place that young people think, hey, look, I can stay in Dothan this weekend and there'll be something to do. Or I don't have to go to Albany, Georgia to see a concert. I don't have to go to Montgomery to go to a museum. I don't have to do all this kind of stuff. I can stay here in Dothan. And then ultimately, at some point, which is what I've been saying since the campaign, is I want my kids, when they get done with college, or when they get to the age where they're thinking about having a family, I want them to have the opportunity to say, hey, I'm going back to Dothan, Alabama, and I've got an opportunity to achieve whatever I want to achieve in Dothan, Alabama. That's what I want. I want our kids to be able to come back here and have, a chance to raise their families.
Can you give us 3 things that during your term, you are committed to making happen and to hear the voices of your constituents.
Well, yeah, and I think my job as a commissioner is being able to be that voice downtown and understand what people in District 5 see as problems, and understand those problems, understand the options, and ultimately what are the solutions. That's the name of the game for me. I want to see problems, and I want to fix problems. It's easy to identify those problems, and a lot of people can do that, but sometimes the solution is very difficult, and it takes some energy to do that sometimes. And so I think 3 things that I want to do for District 5 is, 1, give the people of District 5 the confidence that what they think is important is important to me, and in turn, I'm going to take that downtown and at least let that be known. I think we talked about it earlier. We've got to have a safe community. Public safety is a huge deal to me, and our police force, we've got to make sure they're running at 100%. And ultimately, we've got to create jobs. We've got to create industry. We've got to grow. That's how you grow this thing. I think that if I forget about that goal, which is growth, then I think I'm doing a disservice to everybody. Because if you're not growing, then you're idle, and if you're idle, you're dying. It seems like, we've seen a lot of communities not progress and not stay on the verge of the progression that is required in order to succeed. And I think that we have to keep an eye out and make sure that we're moving along as we should. And so that's what I hope I can bring is some youth, some energy, and ultimately progress.
Well, fantastic. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us this morning.
Absolutely, glad to do it, man. I appreciate all you're doing for our community. I see you out there. I know Dothan area young professionals and in the real estate realm, but DAYP, man, it was great, man. I mean, back in the day, we started kickball, and there was one season we had like 350 players. I mean, it was remarkable. And some of those same relationships that I had and made during kickball, I still have today. People that I might not have run into, or because our courses of life don't really, but because of kickball.
Right.
And then like my uncle Terry and Alan Clark, Joe Donafro, Keith Gibbons, all these guys, they were in. It used to be called the JCs. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. That was kind of the DAYP for the. I'll say old people, but they'll get on to me. But no, they were JCs, and that core group of Cal Turner and Bob Woodall and some of these guys, they were all together. And you see a lot of our leaders in Dothan today that were members of those organizations and very civically minded. And so I appreciate your engagement in that process too. And I like to think maybe we're sitting here in 30 years having discussions about how well we did 30 years before of making Dothan what it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you again.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Till next time, y'all stay tuned.